Good evening, Temple. Welcome back to another Temple WX blog weather video. In today's video, we've got a big forecast for y'all today. Let me tell you, we do have some severe weather potential over the next few days. Monday and Tuesday both have severe weather potential. We did actually have a very significant windstorm just a little to our west in Birmingham. We did have 80-mile-an-hour winds occur in that storm this morning that impacted our area also this morning. That was a very dangerous storm out there. Fortunately, it weakened a bit before it got here, and it ended up to our south by just a little bit. So we stayed safe from that. But before we get into today's video, I just wanted to shout out Becca's Jams and Jellies, our wonderful sponsor here at Temple WX Blog. 11 out of 10 business. She is just so kind. I greatly appreciate what she does for us. She makes this all possible, so make sure to check her out at the Southern Homestead Market from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Saturday, unless there's rain. And that's what we want to forecast here at Temple WX Blog. So that's what we'll be getting into in today's forecast, so stay tuned.
Alright, so as you can see on our radar, we are currently clear. There's absolutely not a single drop of rain in sight. And that will most likely stay this way into this evening, into overnight. We'll most likely stay dry. But as we head into tomorrow, we'll get our next system, our next wave moving in with maybe a cluster of showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder or two tomorrow. But I'm going to take it back to him.
Alrighty, so let's move into our tropical weather outlook for the next 7 days. You can see we are not expecting any activity. However, in some interesting weather news, we do have our first tropical wave, as we mentioned in yesterday's blog, that has emerged off of the coast of Africa. Now, interestingly, this is a little further east than we typically see them, especially this early in the tropical season. It's kind of uncommon to see waves already emerging off the coast of Africa. What could that mean for our hurricane season? That remains uncertain. However, we will have a hurricane season forecast upcoming here within the next few days, so stay tuned to Temple WX blog for that forecast. We do have some interesting weather news ongoing here on today's severe weather outlook. You can see down just to a little bit to our south, we do have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk in effect. This is where some of that morning convection, some of those morning storms that move through are kind of hanging around. We do have a stalled cold front somewhere around there, and that's where we do have some lingering showers and thunderstorms still existing. But in so much more bigger weather news, we have a moderate risk. This is a level 4 out of 5 risk in place today for portions of Wichita, Hutchinson, Kansas, Hayes, Kansas, Derby, Kansas, and Newton, Kansas, some cities such as those. And that's where we could see some more widespread severe weather. This includes a threat for strong tornadoes and supercells in that region. Maybe a slight threat of damaging winds, a little less on that. But another big concern we have is some very large damaging hail, potentially up to baseball sized in some of those areas. If any of you, we've been warning about this now for a few days, if anyone has folks in that area, make sure that they're weather aware tonight. We do have a very dangerous setup in those areas. So please take your precautions if you do go under a severe weather warning tonight and into tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, let's dive into tomorrow's forecast with Ace.
Alright, on our weather outlook, day 2 weather outlook, we have an enhanced risk for the Great Plains. This is a level 3 out of 5 risk on a scale from 1 to 5. This is a level 3. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at our tornado risk. For our tornado risk, we do have a 10% hatched risk, which is pretty severe. This could mean we could maybe get a couple of tornadoes, can maybe get EF2 plus or potential in that hatched risk. Now we're going to take a look at our wind threat. For a wind threat, we do have a 30% risk in that enhanced area pretty much, and that's pretty severe. 60 plus mile an hour winds are a possibility. Now we're going to take a look at our hail threat. For a hail threat, pretty much in that enhanced area, we do have a 30% hatch risk, which is pretty severe. This could mean maybe up to golf ball sized hail in that hatch risk, so please take precautions, bring your furniture, glass, bring that all inside just in case if you know any family members or anybody in that area. Now, alright, we do have a severe weather threat just to our north. There is a slight risk for severe weather just to our north. Now we're going to take a look at the wind threat. As you can see, we do have a 10% unhatched risk for wind. This means there's a possibility of 60 plus mile an hour winds in that 10% or even the 5% area as well. Now we're going to take a look at our hail threat. As you can see, we do have a 15% hail threat in that area. But also, this could change because there is some model disagreement. So there could be a change by tomorrow. So if it does change, we will let you know. Now, speaking of which, let's take a look at our forecast.
Alrighty, so let's take a closer look at our forecast. This is going to be using the HRRR model 18Z run. So just a few hours ago, this model ran, and pretty up-to-date information here. This is the most recent high-resolution model that we do have. And you can see this is Monday at 12 a.m. We're going to go through Monday's forecast, which is tomorrow's. And this is going to be tomorrow's threat that we're going to be covering for our area. So you can see the morning, I think, will be relatively dry. It wants a spotty shower around here, but I don't really see that. I think early in the morning is going to be dry. I think we'll stay dry until potentially closer to like 10, 11 a.m. when we could see spotty showers start to move through the area. And then by the time we start to hit the afternoon, there's our big line of storms. Now, the HRRR model has been pretty consistent on this. It wants that line to stay to our north and east. Now, what I will say is that we did have those storms that move through areas to our south. They were expected to move through our area, and they stay just to our south. So, and what I'm trying to get to at this point is that there's a lot of model disagreement, so take that exactly with a grain of salt. Just keep it in mind, we're going to have a strong line of thunderstorms, and you can see it'll generally be on a weakening trend as we move into the evening. Wherever it is and however far it moves south and east, it'll be generally weakening. And by the time we hit the evening, still some spotty showers potentially, but generally speaking, the severe weather threat will be lower. Now, let's take a look at another model here. Let's take a look at this model right here. This model did do a better job with our severe weather threat earlier this morning. So you can see this was 12Z. So this was several hours ago. Not as new as the HRRR, but still new. This was today's run of this model. You can see there's the storms that kind of popped up this afternoon. And I also think it did a generally good job with that. But you can see those storms ended up dying off. And it wants a more of a rain mass to move through. And then in the morning, it wants a nasty line of storms to hit northern Georgia. And what I will say, it handled this morning's storms well. And it was one of the few that actually did convect severe storms. So it's definitely possible. Of course, as I said, take it with a grain of salt. You can see it stays a bit to our north. And as it moves east, it weakens. And it tries to get another bit of something going in the afternoon and evening hours to in our east and more towards South Carolina, which is certainly possible. As I said, this model did a decent job handling that severe weather threat earlier, but will that exactly happen? It remains pretty uncertain, so we'll just have to continue watching the forecast. I'll have updates for you on this YouTube channel and on Temple WX blog. If something significant were to happen, we will be doing live stream coverage, hopefully at least. I do want to jump into our kind of severe weather parameters. I like to use the significant tornado parameter. This is just a combination of several factors that measure severe weather probabilities. It's definitely one of my favorites to use. So you can see this is this evening or late tonight, 12 a.m. Monday. We'll go through all the hours. You can see severe weather parameters generally weaken during the night with the loss of daytime heating, so those numbers lower and weaken. But you can see as the day goes on, we start to see those numbers increase. And here, let me get to the 18Z model run. Yeah, you can see those numbers start to increase, and then there's that line, and it pushes through all those higher numbers through northeast Georgia and into South Carolina, and those numbers go and decrease as that storm moves through and takes up all that energy. So generally speaking, I do think we'll have the conditions for severe weather. Whether or not it does occur, you can see towards the time that it wants that severe weather to push through, we could have values closer to 1, which is, while that sounds like a low number, that's actually a relatively decent number. So it's definitely better to stay prepared. As I said, these models have kind of been all over the place, so it's certainly possible that we do get severe weather. Let's talk about Tuesday, though, as we do have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk already in place with a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk close by. Let's talk about that. Alrighty, so here is our severe weather outlook for Tuesday. You can see we have a level 2 out of 5 in the area. We're right on the edge, but still better to be safe than sorry. We are in that level 2 out of 5. We're just right on the edge. But you can see that level 3 out of 5 is very close by. Areas Huntsville, Nashville, Memphis, Clarksville, Murfreesboro, all included in that enhanced risk, which is a level 3 out of 5. And that slight risk, it encompasses our area, but it goes all the way down to Louisiana and all the way up to Illinois, Indiana, and even Ohio there just a little bit. Um, we do not have a direct tornado forecast and damaging wind and hail forecast, but what we do have is the probabilities of severe weather and significant severe weather. And you can see that 30% is where that enhanced risk is, and you can see that's a hatched area, which means significant severe weather is possible. That means very large hail, strong tornadoes, and or damaging straight line winds of hurricane force or higher are possible. That it could be very serious in those areas. That's a little to our west, and that's what we're going to talk about. Our local National Weather Service office, NWS Atlanta, did mention the potential for areas to our west to be in a severe weather outbreak on Tuesday. So this could definitely be very serious. So let's talk about this a little more in our models. Alright, so here's another recent high resolution model. It's the NAM 3 kilometer, which is the higher resolution version of the NAM. You can see we're going to move from Tuesday 12 a.m. through, I think this goes all the way out through the entire day Tuesday. Now, what I will say is I don't think this model is exactly accurate, and I'll explain that in just a moment. But let's just go through this real quick. You can see some showers in the early morning. And it generally just has showers almost all day. You can see it clears up towards noon, early afternoon, but as we get into the late afternoon, some more showers. Never really gets too much going until about 1 a.m. when it has a broken line of showers and thunderstorms, generally pretty weak, and doesn't really ever get anything organized through the entire day Wednesday or Tuesday, moving into Wednesday. There's nothing really overly organized that gets here. Now let me explain why here, and let me look at the same model, but it's thermodynamics. So we're going to use a significant tornado parameter again for the ease of use. You can see late in the evening, early morning Tuesday, those numbers go down, like I mentioned. But you can see pretty quickly, those numbers get really high. So 1s are generally favorable, 2s are very favorable for severe weather, and anything higher is considered much more significant for severe weather. You can see we get 2s, maybe even 3s and push into our area. And as that line comes through, those numbers are definitely on the downtrend, but we still have decent numbers, I think, especially to our south. And I think that these areas to our south, those higher numbers down there, could surge northward at least a little bit. These numbers have definitely been on the uptrend over the last few models. So I really do think we are going to have at least some convection. And I think we can look at least at a model that will show this. Yeah, and here we go. Same or different model. This is called the RRFS, covering the same time. You can see that that's definitely more concerning right there. We do have numbers 4s and 5s, which is a much more significant value. And yeah, this is a little closer to what I think might happen. Definitely a more organized line of thunderstorms, potentially storms out ahead of it, which could be very problematic. I think this model might be a little over-exaggerating the severe weather threat. And as I said, we have had models all over the place, y'all. This has been a very challenging forecast, so expect a lot of changes. Stay tuned to Temple WX blog for all the updates, but generally speaking, we definitely could have severe weather, so stay tuned. And in fact, yeah, that's okay. I think I can look. So this is rotation, generally speaking. This is not exactly how it'll look, but yeah, you can see high numbers of that potential rotation. So this shows that storms will be rotating and tornado potential will be there. Yeah, and there's definitely a decent amount of, this is called helicity tracks, updraft helicity tracks. There's definitely a decent amount of that indicating to me that we will have tornado potential. Yeah, and you can see those numbers, especially out to our west, are even higher. Definitely could be a problematic day for them. And as that moves through, could be definitely problematic for us as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned to Temple WX blog for all the updates on this forecast.
Thank y'all so much for making it to the end of the video. If you did really enjoy it, please drop a like and a subscribe. It really shows how much good things we have done in this video, because this did take a good amount of time to make, and we really would appreciate it if you did to help our channel grow and support us. So I really did appreciate it, and y'all have a good night.
And I just wanted to add one more thing. As Ace said, we really would appreciate it. It shows that we're doing something right, but I also wanted to take a moment to just shout out Becca's Gems and Jellies one more time. Absolutely amazing business here. Southern Homestead Market, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. every Saturday. She is there. Check out our Facebook page at Becca's Gems. Absolutely wonderful stuff from them. I love her jams and jellies. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video. As I said, drop us a like or a subscribe, anything that you would like. It really doesn't hurt. Just one little click. We really would appreciate it, as it shows us that we're doing something right. But anywho, thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.